Well, everyone has a story, but taking that story and putting pen to paper to share it with the world isn't the top of everyone's list, particularly when you're talking about the darkest times. Our next guest spent her career helping others write their books and then decided it was time for her to share her own. It is called Even After Everything, the first release from Stephanie Duncan Smith. She is a Grand Rapids native, and Stephanie is joining us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about your career and what it was like going from editor to penning your own book.
Yeah. Very vulnerable. Some authors talk about the vulnerability hangover that happens when you put something so personal out in the world and then you think, oh no, is it too late to take it back? But if there's anything I know as an editor, and now I know as a writer, it's that when you go deep in your own writing, that's when people connect. So that's what I did with this book as an offering for other people who've shared similar experiences.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the experiences that you're sharing in this book then.
Sure, yeah. The origin of this book was a hard place. So my husband and I walked through the beginning of our first pregnancy in parallel to Advent, which was very meaningful. It evoked a lot of wonder in that season. And then the week before Christmas, we lost that pregnancy. And in that time, I found myself grappling for how do I find any solid ground to stand on here? What's going to hold me up? And, you know, this is a gift, but we became pregnant again and had the birth of my daughter, actually nearly a year to the day of our December loss. So in that year, you know, being pregnant after loss is one of the hardest things that I've ever experienced, just the daily anxiety and the stretch and the tension of how do you hope for the best when you know that the worst can happen. So I wrote Even After Everything out of that place of finding grounding practices that would sustain me. And also speaking to the choice that we all have to make, that essential choice of the more you love, the more is on the line. And how do we become people of courage, become people who make the gutsy choice to, as my book subtitles say, know the risks and love anyway.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that is very, very powerful. And so this can really translate to many different areas in someone's life. They can take things from this and put it toward their life.
Yes, that's the hope. And in fact, some of my favorite reviews so far are saying, I don't relate to any of these personal experiences, pregnancy loss, new parenthood, and this book spoke deeply to me. And I think that is my hope, that it's speaking hope and resilience to anybody who's in a place of choosing, am I going to go for this thing that terrifies me, or am I going to choose to play it safe? And I do think that ultimately, when presented with that choice, everything that matters most in life, presence, human connection, belonging, can only be accessed on the other side of that risk. So becoming people who stand up to that and say, this love is worth it, and I'm going to go for it.
And this month is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Month. And I know that you'd like to share some of your book to hopefully resonate with maybe moms and families out there that are dealing with this or have dealt with this.
Yeah, thank you. In this month of awareness for these losses, a few things that I hope to communicate through this book, and just to any parent who's experienced this kind of loss, is that your pain is valid. You know, no matter how far along you were, how early the loss was, how long ago this was for you, your pain is valid. And one brief excerpt I'll read on this. In pregnancy loss, you experience death in your body in a most intimate way, and yet you keep living, and this can be a singular pain. Your body becomes the place where life was wanted, but then the place where death has happened. What was once God breathed is now body emptied. And yet someone still has to defrost the chicken, talk about the weather with your pharmacist, go to meetings that should have been emails, and happy hours, and other people's baby showers, pretending that the ultimate has not just happened, when of course it has. The loss itself is the first grief, and then the burden of pretense becomes the second. So I would say to anybody who knows what that's like firsthand, find those safe places where you can be seen in your grief, those safe relationships, those safe communities.
Yeah. Know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right. Find those
That's
people.
right.
Okay. And talk about your journey since this. I mean, obviously now you're a parent, and let's talk about life and what this has been like for you. You know, you've birthed another baby, right? By sharing your story. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a well-known trope in the publishing industry, you know, books as babies. And if I'm playing into that, yes, I'm in the newborn stage again. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And what I've come to is children are truly the greatest disruption to ever grace my life. And I mean every single word of that sentence in equal weight. It's a challenge and it's beautiful, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations to you on this baby that doesn't need as many diaper changes as the rest of them, but on all of your children, and on, you know, sharing your story with everyone. People can get this now?
Yes, this is Even After Everything is available wherever books are sold, and you can get it now.
Wonderful. Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Congratulations. There you go. You also can follow her and some of her stories, slantletter.com, or on Instagram, Steph Duncan Smith. We'll be right back.